Hey there, and welcome to episode 88 of the Seeds of Transformation podcast. Today's topic: breathing easy, supporting kids with asthma across generations. Today, we're diving into an important conversation about childhood asthma, what it looks like in toddlers, children, and tweens, and how families can work together to support their kids every step of the way. I'm joined by Dr. Renee Matthews, author of Mommy, I Can't Breathe, a powerful book that helps parents, grandparents, and caregivers understand asthma and bridge the gap between generations. Together, we'll explore the signs, the triggers, and most importantly, how to give our children the confidence and care they need to live healthy, active lives. So, whether you're a parent, a grandparent, or someone who just wants to better understand asthma in children, this episode is for you. Let's jump right in, y'all. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Seeds of Transformation podcast with Dr. Allma Johnson. Today, we are discussing breathing easy, and I have with me none other than Dr. Renee Matthews. Dr. Renee, I know I've already stated your name, but would you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
I am Dr. Renee. I'm a medical doctor, but I don't practice. I actually talk about health in media, so TV, radio, print, and online media. And I am your favorite allergy and asthma expert with 49 years of experience as being I say, thriver of severe food allergies and severe asthma.
Awesome, awesome. So with today's podcast, as you can already tell, we're in good hands today. I know she's being humble, but she is also a TED Talk. Okay, so you might want to go back and catch that. One of her TED Talks there. But today we want to start with the basics, Dr. Renee, with breathing easy. And we're supporting today kids with asthma across generations. So beginning with the basics, what are the most common signs of asthma in toddlers and young children that parents and caregivers should not ignore?
The biggest one is wheezing.
Yes.
So if your child is, running around and being active and they, start wheezing because of that, that's one thing. Also, of course, like I said, I have severe food allergies. If they eat something and after they eat it, you notice they start wheezing, same
Mm,
thing. Also, if you notice that your child you think has a cold, but it seems like they always get this cold all the time
mm.
around the same time and it lasts for much longer, then it may not just be a cold and it may not just be bronchitis. It might possibly be asthma, and you want to talk to the doctor about that. Some kids have coughs that just linger and linger and linger.
Hmm.
That could be a sign of asthma as well. And then there's also environmental allergies that can trigger asthma attacks as well. So if your kid goes out outside and then when they come back inside, every single time they are having trouble breathing, then they might be allergic to something outside and it's triggering them into an asthma attack.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, those are some of the glaring signs that could be seen.
Yes. So with the eating and the wheezing, is that connected? Would you explain that again with eating and then wheezing?
Yeah, so like for me, myself, and I if I eat things that I'm allergic to,
Hmm.
my throat closes and I would start wheezing.
Yes.
And actually, even before my throat closes, I can tell you a story. I bought some eggs and I'm allergic to egg whites, and I didn't realize, but some of the egg whites had gotten on me and my chest was right where it was a spot on my shirt. Like I
Hmm.
looked down and was like, because I couldn't figure out, I heard myself wheezing and was like, what's going on? I haven't done anything.
Right.
And then I realized that I had been scratching my chest. And then I
Mm.
looked at my shirt and I saw the spot. And then I opened the
Wow.
carton and saw that one of the eggs was cracked. So,
Wow.
um,
Okay.
so yeah, so it kind of happened. Like I said, I heard myself wheezing first,
Hmm.
but then I was like, oh, I kept scratching my chest too and was like, oh, it was itching. That's why, allergic reaction. And so
Right.
that's
Okay.
what was
Gotcha.
happening.
Right. So it definitely all pairs and it
Yeah,
connects
and it
into
can be, like
something.
I said, that was contact. I hadn't taken in anything. That was contact.
Right.
So if your child is sitting there and you guys are eating nuts and they start joining in too, and all of a sudden things start not looking so good. That could be something. You guys could be at a restaurant and you put some seafood on the plate and they've never had it before, and all of a sudden they
Oh
tell
yeah.
you their tongue itches or their throat feels funny. Kids
Hmm.
don't necessarily know what's going on, but they know something is not normal.
Right,
So
right.
you just have to listen and figure out, oh, that might be an allergic reaction. So you
Right.
just never know. Mhm.
Right, right, exactly. So then my next question for you is how can families, and I'm talking about parents, grandparents, and even teachers, let's add teachers in there, how can we all work together to support children with asthma so they feel safe and cared for every day?
I think the best thing is knowledge. Knowledge is power. So if the teacher is well informed, which
Hmm.
I've done a lot of campaigns talking about before school, make sure you call and talk to the teachers. Because
Yes.
unfortunately in this country, not every school has a school nurse. So
Mhm.
you need to make sure that the teachers and the principals and all the people in the office understand what's going on so that God forbid, a gym class, the child, all of a sudden does some
Mhm.
exercise or whatever activity and they, can't breathe. You don't want anyone to panic. You want to just handle it. And this is why it's important to understand this is a rescue inhaler and this is when
Right.
you use it, or this is their daily medication, their preventative medication. So
Mhm.
it's a knowledge thing. Make sure everyone understands and everyone's on board and knows what's going on. Same thing with, like they said, the food allergies and environmental. If we're going to be going outside, you need to let parents know ahead of time because
Right.
there's some precautions that can be put in place to make certain that, they don't have whatever issue that they might have usually outside. I know for me, when the seasons change is when I usually have asthma attacks. So
Hmm.
I pump up and I start taking my Claritin right when
Yes.
I know that things are about to happen. So like right about now.
Right. Right about
Because we're
now.
about to go into October. Yeah. So right around the change of September to October, it's time for me. This is what my plan is that you take some preventative, you take a little bit of Claritin, and you should be able to make it through. No
Mhm.
asthma attack.
Yes.
Asthma action plans are recommended across the board for
Absolutely.
any asthmatic. And if you have an asthma action plan, which, like I said, you should have one, you need to have a copy of that at the school as well,
Hmm.
and they need to be familiar with. And the asthma action plan is really awesome. It's red, yellow, and green.
Okay.
So if you're in the green zone, you're good. And if you're in the yellow zone, you need to be careful. In the red zone,
Yes.
you need to call for help.
Right.
So that's the school needs to understand what the zones mean and exactly what is the protocol in place. And they need to have whatever the medications are to facilitate that as well
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
office.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think knowledge is power. It's just really
Oh, yeah.
about understanding and knowing. And same goes for if your kid is going to go to a play with, Johnny down the street after
Right.
school or whatever, make sure that that parent understands, because I know that they personally would not want to have something here horrible happen on their watch.
Oh,
So we
absolutely.
appreciate you letting them know.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so don't think that you're, burdening someone. The teacher does not want the child to get sick in class
Right.
because obviously, especially the way that our schools are overcrowded now, the teacher would have to leave the classroom and take care of this kid while, who's going to be in there with the other kids. So
Right. Right.
it's knowledge is power.
Right, absolutely. And I know they weren't a big thing for me. I'm not asthmatic, but type 1 diabetes at the age of 15, it wasn't a big thing as it is now, but having those med alert bracelets
Yes.
or something, some kind of med alert on the backpack or something like that, even
Yeah,
if you're in the
definitely.
student file, the med alert, being a former educator, K through 12 myself, we would see those things, and I would put just a little red sheet of paper in there to say, hey, there's something going on with this child in one period of my classes.
Yep.
um what about cutting down is what I want to talk about. What are some simple and practical ways families we can all cut down on some of those asthma triggers at home, like dust, pets, seasonal
So, well, I
changes
mean,
like you
pets
talked
to me is
about.
very easy.
Yeah.
Pets is so simple.
Yeah.
You get rid of them. I'm so sorry. I know y'all love them, but
Yeah.
we didn't grow up with them because there was so many asthmatics in the household.
Right.
But
Yeah.
and I get that the pet's part of the family, but if the pet
Mhm.
is making you sick,
Yeah.
and I mean, a little bit of sick is one thing, but not being able to breathe from
Oh my
someone who
gosh.
has not been able to breathe many times in her life, it's
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
fun. It's just not fun. So why put your child through that? Why put yourself through that? If you know the kid's allergic, then you just have to get rid of the pet.
Yeah.
Dust, my mom had actually, and this was before the internet, she found this recipe for this. It was mineral oil and something else, and she used to clean like all the wood in our house
Mm.
with that, and that was supposed to keep the dust down.
Something like
Um,
a Murphy's oil kind of soap?
I don't
No.
know. It was white, but I don't know what the white
Oh,
was in it.
okay. Okay. Okay.
But it was in the Murph. It was a mineral oil, and there was
Yeah.
something in like when you looked at it, it was white.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
don't remember what the white was in it. But
Right. Right.
like I said, now we have Google. You could look up different things, and actually
Absolutely.
now there's brand products that are supposed to be specially for people that have allergies.
Yes.
Also, you could air cleaners are amazing.
Mm.
Amazon has tons of them. And if you have air cleaner in that child's room, in your room, if it's you, that's a wonderful thing. And you just keep it running all day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that will cut down on the dust in your house if that's one of your allergies. Also, you have to purchase. There is a lady, her name is Robin Wilson, and
Mm-hmm.
her products are called Everyday Home, I do believe.
Oh,
She is a
okay.
black woman, and she is she's an asthmatic and has
Okay.
allergies, and she created these products. And her
Every
products are she created the cover that goes over the mattress.
Oh,
So
okay.
my mattress has a cover over it, which keeps out dust mites and everything. And then you put on top of that the regular sheets for your bed. But
Right.
my mattresses have been covered since beginning of time that
Right. Since day one, right?
yeah, I don't know that my mattress was not covered. I'd have to ask my mother because I don't think they had them originally, but then once they came out, my mom has always, and then when I grew up, I always did. But
Yeah.
there she made that. She also I have a shower liner from her. She has linens, but she has all of that stuff and it's allergen friendly because like I said, that was her thing.
Okay.
Um but you can purchase her stuff, but you can, you can go on Amazon also and get
Mm-hmm.
mattress cover, allergy friendly mattress cover, it'll tell you. And like I said, air cleaner, mattress cover. You have to, a lot of people outside of asthma, but people don't wash their pillowcases and sheets enough.
Yes.
You have to do that, especially when you have an asthmatic, because the things in the air will, embed into them, and that could cause
Mm-hmm.
you to have issues. The other biggest thing is people don't realize when you come in from outside, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
take your clothes off
Oh,
from
yeah.
outside and change into something else, you're
Yes.
bringing all that was outside into your home.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever you were allergic to outside, now it's in your
It's
house, so
in
your
your
house
home.
isn't even
Yeah.
safe. So it's really important that you change clothes when you come inside and shower so that you get all of that off of you, especially if you have triggers that are outside in the environment.
Yes.
Um, and then for the food triggers, I just just avoid. Like, I mean, you just have to speak up and ask questions, or you just
Mm-hmm.
don't eat. Like, there's days I just don't feel like talking about it. So
Yeah.
therefore, I just won't eat. I'll eat when I get home because I know
Yeah.
my food is safe. But if I go to a restaurant or I go to a friend's house and I just don't feel like asking 20 questions because I have
Yes.
so
Yes.
many food
Yes.
allergies, then
Yeah.
I just won't eat. It's not a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Same thing, parents, like my mom. And I have my book talks about me, and it's my mom said,
Mm-hmm.
you can go to the birthday party, but you have to take your own ice cream and cupcake because I couldn't
Yeah.
eat everyone else's cake and I couldn't eat ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
The ice cream that I had as a child was this individual goat's milk ice cream, which I
Mm.
don't even know if they make them anymore. But that was now there's so many alternatives to
Yes.
cow's milk ice cream, but when I was younger, there was not a ton of options. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what and my
Okay.
mom would make the cupcake herself,
Yes.
and homemade, and then she knew I could eat it, and that's what I had, and I just took it with me. And so, and even when I went to relatives' houses, I just took food with me, and
Yes.
it wasn't a big deal. Then they didn't have to worry about it, and I had something to eat.
Right.
So,
Right.
so I really think, people just really need to pay attention to avoid triggers. I know, unfortunately, especially in our community, a lot of us live in very, very old buildings or homes,
At
and
times.
you
Yes.
have
Yes.
to worry about, people don't realize cockroach dander is a huge
Mm-hmm.
allergen problem, and that has been led to cause people to have asthma. So,
I
so
didn't know there
that's
was such a thing. Okay.
yes. I
Wow.
actually did an article in Ebony about that years ago, but yeah,
Okay.
that
Okay.
is something that people didn't realize, but it's a thing, and you need to realize that. Obviously, we're always worried about asbestos. We always talk
Yeah.
about that, but for an asthmatic, it's even worse. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then the black mold, like
Oh,
if
yeah.
you live in an old home and you have water leakage problems, then black mold is really going to be wreak havoc on asthma. So, there are, not in every state, of course, in every city, but there are
Right.
certain organizations that will, that have things like checklists for the landlords and stuff for you to give to the landlord to make certain that the house meets these requirements or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So for people with asthma, I'm on the board for the Chicago Asthma Consortium, so I know here in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago we have that. But like I said, I know it's not everywhere. I
Mm-hmm.
went to a conference, and that's where I learned about this being a thing. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know what states and cities, but I do know that they're out there, and maybe you can grab a checklist online, and then you could take it to wherever you're moving to make certain that it meets those requirements, because the last thing you want is your home to be killing you, literally.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So it sounds like a lot, you guys, but so kids can breathe easier. So we can all breathe easier, especially if you are asthmatic. It is definitely well worth it. So as children grow into tweens,
Mhm.
in between ages, teenagers, how can parents help them learn to take responsibility for their own asthma care
I really
without
believe it
overwhelming
starts,
or scaring them? Yeah.
I think it starts as when they're little. Like my mom, because I asked her, because especially after I wrote, when I wrote the first book, I asked her because
Yeah. I remember we were in classes
like when I was
together when
writing this, I was like, what am I doing? And I was
yeah,
like,
when
Mom,
you
how did
wrote
I
that book.
know?
Yeah.
I was like, how did I know I was allergic? How did
Yeah.
I know? And my mom's like, you asked, could you eat something? And I tell you, no, you're allergic. And then you finally figured out what allergic meant.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so it just grew from there. I took medicine from the beginning of time.
Hmm.
It's only been in the last maybe 10 years, maybe not 10, that I've not had to take daily medicine,
Hmm.
but I always took medicine. So I always knew that. And so you know, I knew when I had to take my medicine, because my mother said, this is what time, you have to take your medicine.
Hmm.
And of
Hmm.
course, as I was a little kid, she was responsible for making sure I got my medicine. And just
Right.
like I did have a school nurse in my elementary school, the school nurse made sure I had my medicine during
Hmm.
school hours. But when I got older, like middle school, and you have your locker and all of that stuff, I was responsible, and by then, I knew, okay, I have to take my
Right.
medicine at this time. I also participated in activities and stuff, where my mom and dad weren't there with me. I danced, and I used to dance competitively, so we
Hmm.
traveled, and my parents didn't necessarily go with me when I traveled. So I knew I have to take my medicine, and I knew when
What
to
you
take
needed to
it.
do.
So I think I mean, really, you just have to just teach them young,
Hmm.
and most kids, if they have asthma, they're usually diagnosed as children.
Hmm.
So by the time that they are tweens and, sixth grade, which is usually about 11, 12 years
Oh.
old,
Hmm.
they carry their own inhaler,
Right.
and whatever medications they know what they have to take. Maybe it's
Hmm.
in their locker and they have to take it at lunchtime or whatever, they have, they know by then. And it's just really just talking to them and reinforcing and
Hmm.
reminding them. Because of course, as little ones, you do have to keep reminding them.
Yeah.
But if you start, putting the trust in them that, hello, you want to go play soccer, that's fine, but you have to
Right.
carry your inhaler,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
slowly but surely they'll get it.
Yeah. And I think even before tweens, we talked about starting young. At that testing phase pretty much, I believe, ends. I can't eat chocolate. They may try that chocolate cupcake and it gives them that reaction. After one or two times, it's like, okay, I know I can't eat chocolate, or peanuts or what have you. God forbid. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then finally, before we close out, in this podcast of Breathing Easy, what advice would you, as a medical professional, give to families about talking openly across generations so children don't feel alone in their asthma journey?
I think so. I am a huge proponent. One, because I think that family history is so important. Family
Mm-hmm.
medical history is so important for a lot of diseases. I always encourage people at holiday times
Mm-hmm.
to have discussions
Okay.
because then most of the time that's when we get together
Yes,
and
yes,
it's generational. It's across, it's the grandma all the way
yes,
down to the great grands or whatever. And that's when you should have these discussions. You need to have somebody be the secretary and they need to write the
yes.
stuff down. But that's when you should have these discussions. And then I mean, if you have a baby and they tell you, okay, well, your child has, then you need to go talk to grandma and be like, okay, so grandma, I would love for the baby to spend time with you, but this child has this
Yes.
condition and this is what we have to do and this is what we have to avoid and I can't smell seafood cooking, so that was something that my grandmother had to understand
Mm-hmm.
because I would go over there and I'm like, oh my God, and I could smell as soon as I walked
Yeah.
in. So she had to understand and we were like, okay, Renee needs to sit outside or you need to air
Yeah.
out the house or whatever. My grandfather used to smoke a pipe. Do you know the man stopped smoking because I kept coming over and he had to stop.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
that
he
was
just
good for
stopped.
the both of you.
Exactly.
It was good for the both of you. Yeah.
Exactly. But, just little things like that, you just have to tell them. And I will say that my grandmother that lived in Detroit, which is where I live, where I, grew up,
Mm-hmm.
she obviously knew and understood much better than my grandmother that I only saw once a year in the summertime, usually in New York. So she understood and she got it. And she was like, oh, you can't eat this. And so her go-to always was fix yourself a bowl of cereal, which is fine.
Yeah.
I love cereal. And so cornflakes and milk is what I would eat, and everybody else would be eating fish or
Yeah.
whatever I couldn't eat. But or she'd be like, "Come on, let me take you to McDonald's," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, thank you." And so, my grandma understood, and she would make sure that I was good, and I never starved in her presence or anything.
Mhm.
She
Absolutely.
understood. She never gave me anything my mother knew. She never gave me anything I couldn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I felt like, and honestly, my grandmother never had to administer any medication to me because I always had my medicine with me and I could take care of it myself. Now when I was a toddler and stuff, I don't think my mom probably left me there. My grandmother had 8 kids, so my mother was probably not trusting that her memory was going to make certain that this one
Yeah,
survives.
yeah, yeah.
So, my mother was like, I think that I probably did not stay there like that then, but the relative that did take care of us, my Auntie Mary, she took care of us a lot as babies and as toddlers and stuff, me and my sister. She knew and she administered, and she actually was a type 2 diabetic.
Oh,
And
okay.
so,
Yeah.
and I only know that now because now I'm a doctor and I'm
Okay.
40.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But as a kid, I now can tell you that's what it was that she had. And so maybe because of that condition, I don't know, but she took care of us and she gave me medicine. Her children were also there too, so they understood and they knew what I couldn't eat and what I
Mm-hmm.
could eat, and they also knew here's Renee's medicine we have to give to her. Oh, Renee's not doing so good. We need to do this.
Yes, this is what
So
we
they
need to do.
knew. So like I said, I think it's, conversations just have to be had. Now, mind you,
Right.
my aunt was my great aunt. So this wasn't my mom's sister. This was another generation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she's the one that took care of us. And like I said, I don't recall ever leaving there in an ambulance. So therefore, she
Yeah. Good
clearly
thing.
did a good job. Right. She did, knew what she was doing. I did get overdosed at preschool once
Oh,
and that ended up being a night at the hospital. I couldn't stop moving, and my mother's like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And then my mother's a respiratory therapist. She's like, "Oh my God, I think they gave her too much medicine." So they gave me so much that once I finally crashed, I literally
mm.
crashed, and my mom had to perform CPR on the car on the way to the.
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so it's just a conversation. And my mother, of course, because I did go back to that same preschool, but she was like, okay, so this is the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can't give more than this.
Did it right. Oh wow.
This is the dosage. This is, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a board. I have a picture of it in my book that had all of my allergies listed
Mm.
so that the school was well aware. It was probably about this big, and
Mm-hmm.
they knew, and was on there, and it said what Renee can eat and what Renee cannot eat, and
Right.
so that they knew, as far as lunchtime and snacks, they knew
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Okay, she can't have that. She can have this. So, like I said, you just have to have the conversation.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, asthma is one thing, and breathing is very important. But there's a whole lot of medical conditions that we don't
Mhm.
seem to talk about enough. And we don't know, we just know he died. No, 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 no. Somebody knows how
Oh
he
yeah.
died. And someone needs to say, because, and I know this isn't even about that, but it is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh
Prostate
yeah.
cancer, you have to start getting tested 10 years before
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
first line relative got prostate cancer.
Yeah.
So if I was a man and my dad had prostate cancer at 45, then at 35, I should have started getting testing.
Yes.
And colon cancer is the same thing as that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So those little pieces of information are very, very important to your doctor.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
as well as asthma being very genetic too. My mom has asthma. My
Mm.
my mother's brother, sister, my grandmother's brother.
Oh wow. Okay.
And they told him it would be better for him to live in Colorado than in Michigan. And
Mm.
so that's where he moved to once he became an adult. And they said the air would be
Wow.
better for him there. And so that's where he raised his family and everything. And we have generations now over that live in Colorado. But
Okay.
that is very, very important that you have these conversations because asthma, especially if you just can't figure, like if you keep saying that the kid has bronchitis every year.
Mm.
Oh, you need to
Yeah.
tell the doctor, oh, well, my grandmother or my whatever had asthma, so that the doctor would know, oh, maybe we need to send you to a pulmonologist or an allergist to get
Hmm.
the kid tested because there
See
is
what's going
testing that can be
on.
done to
Yeah.
find out if it is asthma. So it's really, and then also I think people don't realize how important it is to know that you do have asthma because a lot of brain, you need to breathe. And so
Hmm.
because asthma attacks happen at night, if you're not breathing through the night, can you imagine the brain cells that you are
Oh
killing?
yeah. Yeah.
So think about the development of your child if they can't breathe.
Right.
They're not going to test well. They're
Hmm.
not going to, what I mean? They could be the most brilliant child, but because they can't breathe, they're just losing all that they have. So it's really important that you figure it out
Yes.
because we need to be able to breathe well so that our bodies can, all the blood and oxygen can get where it needs to go.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
need to make sure that your breathing is good. I tell people you can play with a lot of different systems in your body, but you cannot play with breathing.
No, 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 no.
Like,
No.
I'm
Please don't
sorry,
play with the
that's one
breathing
of those
part.
things
Absolutely.
you got to
Absolutely
have.
not. Yeah.
And I know that a lot of kids, I was not the athlete, probably because of the asthma, but a lot of kids like to run around and play. You don't want to have to tell them they cannot because of
Yes.
so that's why there's so many, like now, shoot, there's so many medicines on the
Hmm.
market. There is no reason that the child should
Yes.
not be able to play, regardless of what the diagnosis is. If
Absolutely.
you look at the statistics on the Olympics, a lot
Hmm.
of the Olympians have asthma,
Oh yeah. Oh
including
yeah.
Noah Lyles, the
Hmm.
fastest man,
Yeah.
including him.
Asthma
So
and,
there's a lot of
and
runners,
diabetes is there too, you know.
right? Swimmers
Yeah.
as well,
Hmm.
but if you look across the Olympics, there's a lot of them that have
Hmm.
asthma. Even my Peloton instructors, a couple of them have said they have asthma. So
Okay. Okay.
there's so much, like I said, there's so many medications on the market, and exercise is what helped me to get off of my medications. I
Okay.
started running,
Wonderful.
and that's how I was able to get off my medications. But I
So
think that,
your medication, no medication at
no,
all?
I just have my inhaler in case of emergency. I carry it
Wonderful.
with me at all
Wonderful.
times, and that's
That's
it. Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah,
Well, that's
my
that's
rescue inhaler.
huge. That's
Oh,
huge.
it was huge. Yes, I was
Yeah.
very excited when he said, you really don't have to take this anymore. I
Yeah.
was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember a bit of your journey from 2020 when we first met, when
Mhm.
you released your first book,
Yeah.
and Mommy, I Can't Breathe with
Mhm.
Cassandra Cummings. We were all part of that group.
Mhm.
And to where you are now, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. So
So
that's
I
a tidbit there too for everyone.
right, and
Right.
and that's what I wrote about in the book was like if
Yes,
I can do it, you can do it. So I
absolutely.
did a program. I didn't just jolt out the door running. I
Right.
did a program that slowly got me into running. I did 5Ks and 10Ks and worked myself
Yes,
up to a
yes,
half
yes.
marathon. So it was a gradual process. But when I had my pulmonary function test and they tested my breathing in
Hmm.
my lungs, the doctor was like, "What are you doing? My
Yeah,
God, your lungs are so much better." And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I really honestly didn't think I was doing anything. So I go,
yeah,
nothing. And then I go, oh, I've been training for this race. And he goes, well, you need to keep doing it
yeah.
because
Keep doing
your lungs
it.
are really appreciating this. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And my parents actually came to visit one time and I was training. And my mom, they walked, of course, and I was running. And my mom's like, I just told your dad, I can't believe that you're running because you couldn't even run in fifth grade.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't. And I actually, all the races I've done, I've never used my inhaler. I have it right
Wow.
on me. Never leave home without it. It's always
It's
in my
always
pocket,
on
in
you.
my shirt, it's somewhere. But
Yeah.
I've never had to pull it out and use it while I was
Wow.
running in a race. So,
Well,
and I've
that's
done
that's that's a good point. That's
quite
a
a
good
few. Yeah.
tidbit to keep it all of this, together with breathing easy. Yes, for the kiddos, for the tweens, as adults, and then to see where you are now. Yes, exercise does play a key role. Listen, Dr. Renee, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the Seeds of Transformation podcast. Hopefully, we'll have you back again here soon in the near future. But thank you again for joining us and sharing your expertise. Would you let everyone know how we can find you and follow you and all the good things, please?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am
Yeah.
Ask Dr. Renee on all platforms. So AskDrRenee. So that's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, um, Snapchat, TikTok, all the platforms. I'm
All the
Ask Dr. Renee.
platforms. Okay. Well, listen, everyone, thank you again for joining us here. Until next time, stay blessed and as always, keep growing in all things of God.
Are you ready to bridge the generational gap in faith? Are you searching for real answers to bring unity between traditional Christians and millennials? Exodus to Unity: Bridging the Gap Between Traditional Christians and Millennials is the book you've been waiting for. Now available in-store and online at Barnes & Noble. And if you're in the Las Vegas area, great news! Exodus to Unity is back in stock at Blueberry Blessings Christian Bookstore, located at 1230 South Decatur Boulevard, Las Vegas, Nevada 89102. Stop by and get your copy while supplies lasts. Want more insights? Check out Dr. Allma's latest YouVersion devotional on the YouVersion Bible app and articles on Christianity.com. Don't just read about transformation. Be a part of it. Grab your copy today and let's bridge the gap together.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Seeds of Transformation podcast. Before you go, take a moment to share your thoughts with a 5-star review and connect with me on social media. Listen, your feedback fuels growth. Until next time, stay inspired. And as always, keep growing in all things of God.